you know, I don't have, I think everybody needs a raise sometime or another, but I think the survey you're talking about will make answer that question.
Yeah, it will, it'll probably say the same thing, but one of my points here is where, and I like the motion, but also going forward, where do we become really consistent in making sure, even, and it doesn't matter of the percentage sometimes, it just matters of the consistency, so employees know that they have something to look forward to. And they know that maybe the budget's bad the next time, doesn't mean that everything's gone, it just means you're still on a scale for performance and something to remember.
Well, I look forward to the survey myself, that's what I would
Well,
think.
my motion is to go ahead and include the ones that were not included into the 3% cost of living, and then we can go ahead and look at the study and everything else. But I just think they're the ones that have stood behind us, and I don't think it's fair to exclude them. And I know they make more money than the everyday man, but they have some of the same issues, and they have a lot more accountability, and I just think it's fair to give it to everybody.
Okay, have a motion, second, any
Mayor,
more discussions? Yes.
Mayor, the only thing I wanted to make sure, so we have this for clarity purpose, this is not an attempt to amend the prior, this is to add.
Them to
So this is a separate motion entirely, it is not an attempt to reconsider, it is.
No,
it is.
Just to add the additional people that were not included in the first. So that's all it is.
So it would be under the same terms and conditions which we were able to determine from the staff perspective. That would be effective July 1.
Right.
Is that?
Any other discussion?
The only discussion that I would have is that, is this. You know, we're sitting here, we did in the last strategic meeting, we're in this one, we're planning another one, maybe another one. We're hearing from every department. We know we have issues with this budget already. We knew that before we ever started budget planning, before we ever even heard of it. Now, I've yet to hear of a department that doesn't need more employees, that doesn't need more pay, that doesn't need something. We have no idea where we are in the budget, how much underwater we are in the budget, or anything else. So I think that, you know, I'm not in a position to want to vote for any. The main reason that I voted the way I did in the last meeting was because I felt as though, you know, if we were going to not do, and what I had heard from most people is they did want a COLA and not a bonus, employee that is. And so the reason that I voted for it in the way it was presented to me was just that I felt like we had management people who were properly compensated. And this was just a way to include for our ranking file help in that regard. And it would help us to meet any shortfalls on the budget by not including other people. So nothing in my mind has changed at this point. So I'm not voting for that motion. And I really think that we're all getting a little ahead of ourselves here in this whole process. Now, we've yet to see any numbers. All we're seeing is words. We don't have an idea about where we are in this budget. We know the reevaluation is coming. We've already seen that that is down. You know, yes, everything stopped in 2007 or 8, whatever year you want to use, doesn't matter. We did what every other city in America, and many cities are still doing, and have done. Many of them ended up being worse than we were, like Detroit, Michigan, and having to declare bankruptcy. So we're not as bad off as one might think, and I hope and pray we're not as bad off. As last meeting, I was slightly encouraged for the fact that these reevaluations were not quite as high as maybe some of the percentages that had been thrown out. So I just think we're all jumping ahead of ourselves on this thing, and I think we need to get down to some numbers. And I'd like to give every one of these, including fire, police, street, everybody else, everything they want. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to end up at the end of this session with a finite amount of number, or you've got to increase taxes. And, you know, we haven't even got to that point where we can even look at numbers and know what we might have to increase in taxes without going and throwing some other, you know, locking in an increase of something right now. I just don't think it's common sense. I don't think it's the way to go about this process. I'm sorry.
The only thing is, it was only 60,000. In fact, I think it's a little less than 60,000 to add them in. that was the point, is that you had already approved a full amount, so it was only an additional about $60,000, you know, and I feel like they deserve it, so.
I thought it was that about what it was, Larry? I don't remember exactly. I thought,
Just to add these in is approximately $60,000.
I thought, I remembered something a little more, but I don't remember exactly what it was, okay.
So that was the reason behind the motion, is to go ahead and include them in the 3% that y'all voted for.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed?
No.
Okay, all right. Next item.
Any other questions for Deborah? If there are no other questions for Deborah, should be followed by Lisa.
You guys ready? Okay. Good afternoon. I'm here before you today to discuss master plan implementation. I do have a lot of information, so I'll be as quick as I possibly can. But in today's world of fast-paced change, new technology, and complex pressures causing fast growth or decline, a long-term plan gives communities a better edge in maintaining what they value and arriving at future goals. The city does have a multiple master plans throughout various departments that range from fire and water resources to planning and park and recreation. Today we're going to talk about just a few of the city's master plans within the planning, downtown, and park and recreation departments. I'd like to provide an outline for today's presentations. We'll first discuss what are master plans, master plan benefits, a few current master plans, implementation, and why implementation of the master plans are important. Master plans are long-term planning documents that look 20 to 30 years in the future. They establish the framework and key elements of the community and reflect a clear vision that has been created and adopted through an open public process. Master plans identify civic goals and the public's aspiration for projects and defines a realistic plan for implementation. Master plans are planning documents in the sense they are flexible and they provide partnerships, unlike our ordinances, law, or regulations. And they also provide guidance for decision making, such as yourself and staff. Master plans provide many benefits for a community. For instance, master plans provide informed direction and goals for the present and future well-being of the community. They provide information, analysis, and therefore a better basis for decision-making. For instance, the land use plan for planners is our primary everyday tool that we utilize to base all our recommendations and decisions on how the future, how the city grows and develops in the future. Master plans does help to avoid conflict and incompatible land uses. For instance, if you have a land use plan, if you don't have a land use plan or you have an outdated land use plan, development can become haphazard. Master plans do provide certainty and predictability to developers, businesses, and residents. So if you have a master plan, developers have a clear direction of how the city wishes to grow and develop in the future, so that provides a comfort for developers to invest in our community. The planning process for most master plans also contain a public involvement component that provides various opportunities for public input, outreach, and education. So these plans, most of these master plans are community driven. So you have that support from the community that most likely drives the plan to come to fruition and be implemented. A majority of grant funding opportunities requires municipalities to have a master plan in place. A couple of examples of that is the Park and Recreation Trust Fund grant requires municipalities have a park and recreation master plan in place before they can be eligible for funding. And also, in order to become a member of the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization and compete for transportation dollars, every municipality is required to have a land use plan in place in order to be a member. Otherwise, you forfeit your membership and your ability to have transportation dollars. A few plans that were briefly discussed today is the Downtown Monroe Master Plan, the Park and Recreation and Greenway Master Plan, Concord Avenue Area Master Plan, and then last, the Monroe Land Use and Transportation Master Plan. The Downtown Monroe Master Plan began in 2007 due to concerns of downtown's decline and lack of vitality and investment. The purpose of the plan was to counteract the impact of lost retail and restaurants and develop downtown as a destination. Along with the Downtown Master Plan there was an implementation action plan as part of that project, and the developed strategies that were identified in order to implement the master plan. Some of those that have been accomplished to date include the development of the Catalyst site, the Monroe Hardware Warehouse, the apartments. That was about approximately a $6 million investment. The Center Theater was purchased as part of the implementation. The downtown expanded their incentive program offerings to include Pronto, Meet Me Downtown, facade rehab, and mixed-use development. And then the Joffrey Hotel lot was beautified. The downtown events have been now are in partnership with the Park and Recreation Department. And then there were strategic property acquisitions that took place in Five Points area and then the corner lot at Lancaster Avenue and Old Charlotte Highway. Future implementation strategies that remain to be include the streetscape improvements along Main Street. That would include furniture, benches, trash receptacles, and I think that's approximately $100,000. There's still a couple of key property acquisitions to implement the plan. One is the Sykes property and adjacent parcel, and that's the produce stand across from JB's Produce on Old Charlotte Highway. This would serve to expand the Belt Tonawanda Park and improve the gateway for the area, and I think the proposed budget for that is $180,000. And then another property to acquire would be possibly the Chirino's property, and that is the Hispanic nightclub across from the Sykes Produce Center. And this has been recently discussed amongst staff at possibly obtaining in order to serve as the entry to the Greenway and maybe put a parking lot there with a kiosk area. And it would also improve the gateway for the Old Charlotte Highway. Not sure how much that would cost or how much discussion's taken place with that. In order to rehab the Center Theater, that would be a public-private partnership of approximately $4 to $8 million. And then there's the installation of public art, and that cost varies based on the type of piece of art that will be installed within the downtown. Another implementation strategy would be to develop the Joffrey Hotel site. We attempted to do this several years ago when staff released the request for proposal to solicit developers to develop the Joffrey Hotel site. Since the city owns that property, we were offering it for $1. We did have a developer on board, but since the downturn in the economy, that project kind of fell down the wayside. The new senior center of $2 to $4 million, and then a large capital project is the conversion of Franklin and Jefferson Street to two-way. The design of that is about $1 million, and then the construction is $10 to $12 million. Another plan that is currently being developed or updated at the moment is the Parks and Recreation Greenway Master Plan. The purpose is to develop a course of action to plan for immediate and long-term recreation needs for the community, and the goal is to evaluate the existing recreation needs and to determine any future recreation needs. And I think the plan would look at recreation programs and facilities, parkland and open space, greenways and pedestrian activity, and then also look at any zoning or land use tools or policies to put in place in order to implement these strategies that come out of the update of the plan. The status of this plan is that staff has engaged Stewart Engineering in April 2014 to assist with the update of the plan. To date, 5 community engagement sessions have been held in order to receive public input regarding the plan update. Several surveys have been conducted via phone, mail, internet. Draft plan is complete and under staff review and is proposed to be presented to the Park and Recreation Advisory Board in April and Council for adoption in June. One plan that's currently being developed within the planning department is the Concord Avenue Area Master Plan, formerly known as the Kerr Street Plan. This project began in 2005 due to complaints and concerns regarding the blighted conditions of the Kerr Street area. This was discussed at the Land Development Committee regarding the conditions of the blighted Kerr Street area and determined that the best course of action would be to develop a small area plan and redevelopment plan. The goals of the small area plan redevelopment were the purpose was to improve the aesthetics, safety, viability, and appeal of the Kerr Street area through a comprehensive small area redevelopment plan. The comprehensive small area plan basically looks at land use, aesthetics, urban design, and transportation. And then the redevelopment component basically focuses on the core area of the study area, which is the Kerr Street area, and that would be redevelopment activities of acquiring property, recombining lots to invest in and improve or revitalize. Some of the goals, which I won't go over all of those, were to develop new and improved housing stock, revitalize properties, and to create an attractive entrance to Monroe. The Concord Avenue and Skyway both serve as gateways to the downtown. And this plan would also establish catalyst areas for improvement. The status of the plan development for this project is staff has contracted with Kimley Horn & Associates. It's a national planning and engineering firm to assist with the development of the plan. A series of public meetings and public workshops were conducted in order to better understand local values and objectives. The public input that was received is what developed the redevelopment strategy for the study area. The draft concept plan is complete and under review, and an open house is scheduled this spring and adoption for council this summer.